Welcome to this episode of Mom Talk. So, we did a question box a while ago and we've already answered those for y'all, but a lot of the questions were about Victoria's health. Yes. So, we're going to do a whole episode on that. Make sure people are all caught up. One of those questions was, is Victoria's current health problem the same one she had in high school?
Unfortunately, no. So back in high school, I had something called supraventricular tachycardia, SVT, and it is a heart arrhythmia problem. Your heart races really high, like 260, 280 beats per minute. And I have had 3 cardiac ablations. So there's an accessory pathway, and if you cut off the accessory pathway, calms that down can't happen. So I had 3 different ablations to burn off that pathway. It just kept regrowing back.
Oh, so that's why you had 3.
Yeah, it really wanted to be there. But after that 3rd ablation, it stayed gone, and I've been fine with that ever since.
What were your side effects, like your symptoms that you knew something was wrong?
With the SVT?
Mm-hmm. Just the heart racing, or?
It actually started when I was 4 years old.
Oh, wow.
So when I was 4, I was sick. They didn't know what was wrong with me, took me to the doctor. You know, when you go to the doctor, they check your temp, your pulse, and your breathing. And my pulse, I don't remember what it was when I was 4, but it was in the 200s.
Wow, did they freak out?
Yeah, the doctor, I can still see him in my mind, looking at my dad. And he was like, would you like for us to call an ambulance for her? Or would you like to take her straight to the emergency room?
Oh, wow.
So Dad drove me to the emergency room and they gave me, I don't know what, to calm my heart down. And then after that, it was a referral to a pediatric cardiologist, and that doctor was pretty much like, she'll grow into it or she'll grow out of it.
So he's saying there wasn't anything to do at that time.
Keep an eye on it, and they would keep track of how many episodes I had, and if we needed to do something, call him, I guess. But then, after that, I was fine. From 4 to 17. Fine. I say fine. I had some weird medical stuff go on in the middle there, but I think that's all related to that tick bite. Separate.
She also had a tick bite.
That made me super sick. But then 17, I'm waking up in the middle of the night and I'm my heart is pounding and I can't catch my breath. And my mom's like, oh, that's called a panic attack. And I was like, okay. And it started happening during the day. It was more frequent at night, I feel like, but it would happen in the day some. So told my doctor, ran blood work. All my labs were normal. They always are, aren't they? He ordered a monitor. The monitor was a 24-hour. It showed nothing. Okay, cool. It keeps happening. Then I got put on a 21-day heart monitor. And while I was wearing that one, it caught something. It caught the SVT, and it was still there, and it was back. And I was back at 268 beats per minute. And I had passed out at school one time, in the hallway, just passed out at the top of some stairs.
Yeah.
Got some ablations, good to go.
And that was all when you were 17, 18?
Yeah.
Okay.
I had all 3 within 18 months of each other.
Wow.
So.
Okay, but after 18, your heart was fixed.
My heart was fixed, and it was,
you were smooth sailing for some years.
Yeah, I felt good.
Okay, so I feel like you already answered this, but the question was, is Victoria in heart failure?
Okay, so a lot of people who have pulmonary arterial hypertension are in heart failure. I am not in heart failure, not congestive heart failure, not right-sided heart failure, no heart failure.
Okay, so your heart is doing what it's supposed to do right now.
It is doing what it's supposed to, and it has returned. When I first got diagnosed, it was enlarged. The right side was enlarged, right ventricle, right atrium, all enlarged, and that has all returned to normal function and size.
Is that due to the medication you're on?
Yes.
Okay.
So my heart is under less pressure due to the meds.
Okay. Do you feel like you can feel that difference?
I don't have chest pains near as frequently, so I don't really know if the two go hand in hand, but it gives me peace of mind at a minimum knowing
that you're not feeling it.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to keep on with all your stuff. So this one, do you still have endometriosis?
I do. I sure do. So I had an excision surgery before I had Mason. So back in April of 2018, I had excision surgery to remove, burn, whatever, all the endo. And then every time I had a kid, she would do like a little touch-up surgery since I was having a C-section anyway. And Remy is almost 4, which means I haven't had any type of surgery done in 4 years like that. But I'm still feeling pretty good.
So you don't feel like it's...
Sometimes I'm like, it could be creeping back, but I know that's what it does.
I just want to say for the record, that surgery took you out more than anything else I've seen you with.
Yeah, it took me out good.
That was
It was a lot.
rough recovery for you.
Yeah, it really was.
How long was your downtime for that?
I think it ended up being like 2 weeks.
What do you call it when they just go in the...
The laparoscopic.
Was it laparoscopic?
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know our C-sections took us out pretty good, but
Well, that's different. You anticipate.
That was rough
Yeah.
after that one.
So I do still have endometriosis. It's something that doesn't really go away. It's just a matter of how well is it being controlled. And right now, I feel good.
Okay. Okay, this question is, do you have a pH specialist?
Yes, I do. I go to Vanderbilt. That is the closest PAH specialist for us. She works with 2 other doctors who both deal with pulmonary hypertension. I really like her.
Is she the basic celebrity one?
Yeah. So a research study I did, one of the coordinators was telling me that they had gone to a conference and that my doctor was like a celebrity at this conference. Like everybody from all over was just like wanting to talk to her and like listen to her speak and stuff. I'm like, okay, well that's cool to know that she's like...
Yeah, she's highly
Brilliant.
sought after. Okay, we haven't talked about your research day on here.
No.
So while we're doing these questions, I feel like you should touch on that.
Okay, so I did another research study. Previous ones I've done have all been for like the pulmonology research. This one was for cardiology. They were trying to look and see why some people with this condition develop right-sided heart failure and why some don't. This study was one of the more invasive, I guess you could say, as far as testing goes, just because I did have to have a MRI.
Mm-hmm.
I did a cardiac MRI, 45 minutes in the tube of your chest, watching your heart. And then for this one, they took you out, flipped you around, and did a 20-minute MRI of your left leg.
Just the left.
Just the left leg.
Okay. So that's what they're researching.
So they want to try to figure out something for people who end up with right-sided heart failure.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, even though I don't have any heart failure of any kind right now, like I know the chances of developing right-sided heart failure, having this condition. So I'm going to participate in this study and hopefully you can figure it out before I get right-sided heart failure.
Yes. What did you do in the MRI?
So I have had... This was my 3rd or 4th cardiac MRI, and I do not love them, but like I said, it seemed worth it to me. But this one had a nice fan blowing directly on my face, like drying out my contacts, and I needed that.
Were you hot or were you just nervous?
Just nerves.
Okay.
And like, it's a tube, like I'm claustrophobic, so then I'm just like hot. The room was cold / comfortable, but the fan, I needed that to like, for my mind. And it made me close my eyes because the contacts were so dry. But they had put this like shell thing around me, which I'd never had done for a cardiac MRI before. So it was even a tighter squeeze in the tube with the way I was covered up with this thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, research day was good. We got there super early that time.
And Jarrett went with you?
Yes, Jarrett went with me. I think it was only 10 vials of blood this time. Only. Vitals, 6-minute walk test.
Yeah, because I always ask you how long you did or how fast.
How long it took me?
Yeah.
6 minutes, Jordan.
I always ask it wrong.
I did not get to find out my distance this time. In the past, sometimes I have, sometimes I haven't. If it's like on a day where I see my doctor anyway, but I'm also there doing research, they'll just make me do the 6-minute walk test one time instead of having me repeat it in the clinic versus the research center. So those are the times that I do get to know, but this one I was not seeing my doctor. This is not for pulmonology research, it's for cardiology research, so I don't know if I'll ever know.
I would just be curious.
So they have like little measurements on the baseboard of the hallway so that they can know how far you walked. Because like when your time's up, you stop wherever you are and they have to figure out the distance. I don't even know this time how far apart my cones were. Because sometimes I can like count laps and then if I know the distance, obviously I can figure out how far I went.
Mm-hmm.
But no, not this time.
Well, shoot.
And then I did a cardiopulmonary exercise test.
And this was new.
This
to
was
you.
new to me. Never done it before. I had the gas masky looking contraption on my face.
Yeah.
A 12 lead EKG, so like the little electrodes all over me with this little heart monitor belt. A nurse was manually taking my blood pressure every like about 2 minutes the whole time I did it. So I just sat there and rode a stationary bike. And they have you do it like certain rotations per minute. So you want to stay between like this certain range. Mm-hmm. And if you fall under that range for more than however long, they're like, okay, like go ahead and start slowing down like you're done.
Okay.
And they're increasing your resistance. So
That's what I was going to ask, is there resistance?
Yeah.
Okay.
The longer you're on it, the harder it gets. And they're also asking you how out of breath you are. It's called a Borg scale. And like at first, like the first few times she was asking me, I'm like 0. Like I have full breath. I'm breathing fine. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, it did eventually work up to like a 0.5. And then I don't know what the resistance changed to or if it's how long I'd been doing it or what. But I went from a 0.5. I was like 0.5, 0.5, 0.5. And then she asked me the next time and I was like 4.
It jumped.
Yeah. And 4 is like severe.
Okay.
Shortness of breath. And so she was like, okay, go ahead and wind down. My blood pressure stayed about the same the whole time I was doing it. Like my systemic, not my lungs. Mm-hmm. We know my lungs got problems with blood pressure. At one point, my heart rate got to like 180 and the machine started freaking out. But yeah, it was pretty easy. It looked kind of weird.
It does look strange.
But
it looks like it would be hard to breathe.
It was not comfortable, but it was not terrible. They have to have you come back to baseline on all your vitals before they're allowed to let you leave. So like I said, my blood pressure was fine. My oxygen stayed at like 198 the whole time, which is great news. But my heart rate didn't want to come back down for a while, so I had to just lay on the bed and wait. Yeah.
Okay.
Next thing, I have a right heart cath. It'll be my first one since being diagnosed on September 9th.
And this was your least favorite
This is
thing, to say the least.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I'm not super looking forward to it, but I have to have it done. It's the only way to like accurately measure the pressures to see if the medicines I'm on are really working or just like a Band-Aid effect. Like, I don't feel my symptoms, but are they there? The pressure affected at all? Did it get any better or worse? Like,
so how do you feel like your stress or worry is around going to medical places now? Like, since you're going to have this coming up so soon.
Like, I have anxiety to take my kids to the doctor for like strep. Like any doctor's office, like I'm not joking or exaggerating or trying to be funny. It's like panic inducing. Like the pediatrician's office.
Right.
I definitely think there's like a little PTSD or like some trauma there.
Yeah, some medical trauma.
For sure. So to have to do the procedure that like really did me in on that, I am already super anxious.
Yeah.
But I don't really have a choice.
So will you go early that day? Is this like an all-day thing?
So they said they would call me 1 to 2 weeks before. So I'm waiting on a call any day now. I can now see on the portal where it's scheduled. I think it's going to be a morning thing. I don't know how long I'll have to stay. I know part of it depends on which location they choose to go in. So sometimes they go in, like my first one, they went in through my arm. No problem. Just like don't lift anything heavy for a couple hours. I don't know where they're going to go in this time. This is a different hospital, different doctor.
Like, is your arm the most typical, or maybe it just depends on doctor?
So from the support groups, the most typical seems to be the neck. They go in your neck or your groin.
I'll be like, well, my neck's closed today, so.
Which groin is how they did all 3 of my ablations. So, but with that one, a lot of hospitals, the protocol is to lay flat for 4 hours. So I know I'd be there for most of the day if that were the case. I don't know if I necessarily have a preference. Like, it's not that the arm was bad. It was just the whole situation put together. So I think I know what to expect now.
Yeah.
Hopefully my blood pressure is not as low and it lets me have some type of loopy sedation like anesthesia is tricky business for people with this condition. Like people are out here having colonoscopies awake because of it.
You know, when I went in for mine, I thought I was just going to be twilighted because we've talked about stuff so much. You're like, absolutely not.
No, you're getting under.
I was like, whoa, thank goodness.
Yeah, so it's person to person. I don't know what they would say for me in my condition. I mean, I'm pretty mild, so, or at least I think I am. This heart cath will tell us for sure.
So are you a little bit relieved that you're getting it done, even though it's the last thing you want to do, like to get like a definitive answer?
Yes and no. I am like still playing the what if game of like, what if it got worse?
Yeah.
What if this whole time I've just been feeling better, but it's actually done damage? I don't think that's the case. My doctor doesn't think
is that
that's
even
the
true?
case.
Like, could
It can be the case.
Okay.
There is a chance my pressures have gone up. And that would just suck. You know, I don't know if my doctor would want to add more medication. Some people end up on like a subcutaneous pump or like a permanent IV line gets placed. I don't want either of those options. So I want the oral medications to work as long as possible.
Right.
So I'm a little anxious for sure.
I mean, I can't blame you.
But I'm trying to remind myself, like, this is a different experience. Like, you already know you have this. That was part of the thing, too. I got diagnosed with this super scary thing.
And didn't even know what it was and having all this medical procedures done.
Yeah.
Yeah. All at one swoop.
Yeah, and I had been in the hospital for, like, 2 days. I'd spent one night there. I was about to spend another night there. I was away from my kids. Like, it was a...
Yeah, a combination.
Yeah. I think, you know, this time I'm going in knowing what to expect. I have different expectations, and even if it goes exactly like it did last time, what are you going to tell me? My pressure's worse? You know?
Yeah.
That would suck, and I would be sad.
But you know you can handle it now.
Yeah. I mean, it didn't kill me the first time.
Yeah.
Probably not going to this time.
Okay, this question is, are you on any oxygen?
No, I am not. I know a lot of people with this are. I am not. When I'm up and moving around, I don't need it upon exertion or at rest. I don't. Another question I've been asked a lot is like, if I'm on a CPAP machine, sleep apnea can be a factor. No, I'm not. So
I know at the beginning you checked your oxygen regularly. Are we still doing that?
yes, I check it all the time.
You still do? Mm-hmm. Man, you're so hidden with it.
Yeah, it's like I've got one everywhere. There's like one in my nightstand, one in my purse, one in my car.
I haven't seen your purse one in a while come out.
Yeah. I'll just like look for stuff in my purse and like put my finger in there until it reads and then just take it out. Yeah.
So do you do that when you do you feel out of breath or you just do it randomly to check?
No, I feel out of breath. So some days, even though I'm on this medicine, I feel like I can't breathe how I want to breathe. And there's no other way to describe that. Like I can't take as deep of a breath as I am wanting to.
Right.
No matter what I do. I also, on those days, like I yawn a lot. And I know my mom's noticed. She's like, oh, you're so tired. And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like my brain's way to try to help me. But like,
yeah,
no.
It's not tired.
But even though I'm feeling that way, my oxygen's sitting out here like 98, 99.
What number would it have to get to scare you?
I'm a freak show. So normal is 95 to 100. But since I'm crazy, 97 and higher is where I want mine.
Okay.
So 96, I'm like freaking out.
A little panicky.
Yeah.
What would the number have to be for you to like go get checked? Or would you?
Anything in the 80s.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
consistent 80s.
Yeah.
Like if I put it in, it says 89, but I just finished like running around with the kids. I'm not going to panic about that because everybody's fluctuates when they're moving.
Okay.
Jarrett's is lower than mine most of the time.
Consistently.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like what's wrong with you?
Yeah. Okay, so you kind of touched on this, but it says, do you still have symptoms or did the meds fix everything?
The meds did not fix everything as much as I wish they did. Yeah, no, I'm not fixed by any means. I do still have days of chest pain. I do still have days where I can't breathe how I want to, feel short of breath. Some days, most days, I'd be fine going up probably 5 flights of stairs, and some days 1 flight of stairs gets me. There's really no rhyme or reason that I can pinpoint as to why certain days are worse than others.
Like weather or good enough sleep or anything like that?
Now, when I'm tired, it's definitely harder. Hormones, I think, definitely
play a factor
for me. Definitely with the chest pain on that one. So now, I'm not fixed. There is no cure. Hopefully one day, but no. It didn't fix everything. I do still feel worse than I look 90% of the time.
So, yeah, obviously nobody would know anything's wrong.
Yeah, no.
Is that harder for you? Because do you think people still expect the same out of you prior to when you got diagnosed? Like, yeah, Victoria can go do this. She's like, she looks fine.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's hard, but then I also put that on myself. I'm like, look at you. Look at what all you're able to do. Because I played that game with myself before I got diagnosed. I'd pressure washed my whole driveway. I was like, well, nothing's seriously wrong with me if I can pressure wash.
Yeah.
Nothing's seriously wrong with me if I can use this big, like, commercial carpet cleaner. Nothing's wrong with me if I can do all these things. And I still have that mentality.
Yeah.
And I think other people still have that mentality too. Like, oh, like, she can do that.
Is there anything you've had to cancel or opt out of doing for not feeling well or afraid you wouldn't feel well?
No, I think I pushed myself.
You do push yourself.
Yeah, I just think I pushed myself. Like, I'm not severe enough by any means at this point in time to feel like I can justify skipping something.
Yeah.
Like, either I cannot breathe here or I cannot breathe at work.
Right. I know we never make a lot of plans to do stuff, but do you feel like you're even like not committing less, or that's pretty much the same too? Because you're going to do it if you have to.
I feel like I'm going to do it if I have to. Also, like, the kids have started fall ball.
Yeah, that's right.
So a lot more commitments even than normal. Like, I got Remy's game schedule. We're going to have 2 games a week. I don't have Mason's yet, but I can assume 2 games a week.
Does that already stress you out just thinking, I'm going to have to be somewhere 4 nights a week? Like, am I ever feeling good 4 nights a week?
Well, no.
Okay.
But I do still have my kids every night of the week. And
right.
They still want to get in the pool and swim. They still want to go for a walk. They still want to play baseball in the yard. So whether I'm sitting on a bleacher, that's honestly a little bit easier than I have to swim laps in the pool to, like, make a whirlpool in our pool out back, you know?
Your kids are keeping you on your toes.
No, and I think it's good for me too. I think I have to mind over matter. And, like, yeah, this sucks. Yeah, I can't breathe. Yeah, I can feel some chest pains. Yeah, my heart rate's really elevated right now. But I can still do it. Like, I don't know. It's just a mentality thing. I think if you stay positive and you stay moving, like, a body in motion stays in motion. So I'm just going to push my body and see what it'll let me do.
Okay, but on the opposite end of that, if you are feeling bad, do you let yourself rest?
No.
You do not.
I
do
do
not.
not.
The answer to that.
Mm-mm. No, I don't.
Well, I don't know what to do about you.
Well, I don't.
Like, just a little sit down.
I say I don't let myself rest, but I go to bed very early. Like, when the kids go to bed, I'm not asleep, but I am in bed.
And you're doing your routine to, like...
And I'm doing my routine, and that is my time to, like, take care of myself.
Yeah. Well, I think it's really good you have that. I love everything you've implemented to feel better.
You know, the cold plunge is on my list, but it's a hard one for me. I have seen the benefits.
Me, like,
I've seen the benefits.
I hate being cold.
I know.
Just fill up your bathtub and give it a whirl. See what you think.
I don't know. I'm intimidated. I don't even like getting in the pool when it's cold.
Exactly. So, regular cold water, I don't even know if I could do, and people are throwing ice in there.
Yeah. We'll see if I get there.
Okay, this is the last question. Is it hard to be involved in the research studies?
As far as, like, what they have me do, no. That part's pretty simple. I go, I walk, I get to eat a snack.
Yes.
They take some blood. Like I said, this last one, I had to lay in an MRI tube for a little over an hour. I'm really not doing anything hard. Mentally, it's hard because I'm choosing to put myself in a medical environment, which already freaks me out.
Mm-hmm.
But a therapist that I talked to has told me, like, by doing that, she was like, well, exposure therapy is the best therapy in some instances, and you just dove right into the deep end on that.
Yeah, you did.
I was like, well, I didn't mean to do that. She's like, but that's exactly what you did. So hopefully the more I go and it's my choice to be there and nothing bad's happening and I'm feeling good, the people, you know, I've had my fair share of doctors and nurses who I'm like, I don't love it. Everybody here is so nice and they're so thankful that I'm there. Like, it's a good situation.
Mm-hmm.
So the more I do that, hopefully the easier it'll get. But right now it's still hard.
So it hasn't gotten any easier yet.
No, not yet. Which, I mean, I'm just at the 1 year mark of having this diagnosis. Like this time last year, I was still so out of my mind crazy.
How does that feel, like looking back into that last year?
It's wild.
Yeah.
And I don't know I can't pinpoint at what point it just kind of like turned off and became normal.
I mean,
Like-
you really worked on that.
Yeah. And I was like having panic attacks like every day, multiple times a day, and like couldn't sleep. And
And you didn't want to be alone.
I didn't want to be alone. I was having nightmares and like a reoccurring nightmare, and it would wake me up every night. Sometimes multiple times a night. Like I would wake up and I would finally get back to sleep and I would have it again. And I don't know at what point in the year it just like stopped. And it was like, no, this is your life now. You're
Yeah.
fine. You got this.
Yeah.
But it was not overnight. It was not the next month. It was not quick.
No, it was very gradual. And
Yeah.
I mean, a year out is a long time, but at the same time, feels like that was just yesterday. Like,
Yeah.
I know you're still working on feeling
I'm still
even
working
better.
on stuff, and I think after this heart cath, if my pressures have improved, I will feel like on cloud 9. Mm-hmm. If they're the same, I will be like, okay, great. I don't know if I'll be okay, great. I just feel like if you've been on medication for something, they should improve.
Okay, so you want improvement.
I want my pressures to be normal, which is under 20. I didn't have far to go. I was at 36.
Right.
So I'm like, can we drop 16 points in a year?
Do your doctors expect that to drop or stay the same?
They have not set an
They
expectation.
have no idea.
It's just like wildly unpredictable.
Okay.
And I can be walking around functioning great and my pressures could be in the hundreds. Like it literally happens all the time in the support groups and people are devastated. They're like, what? I feel so good. Mm-hmm. And then they're like on IV. And I'm like, I hate that. And I don't want that for me. And I don't want that for anybody. But it is scary to think I could feel so good and like it's actually not all good.
Yeah. Okay, so we're caught up for now on Victoria, and we will definitely fill y'all in on how her right heart cath goes.
Yes.
And thank y'all for listening. Don't forget to follow us on Apple, Spotify, and on our Instagram. Thanks.
Bye.